How's it going, everyone? It's Sam. Bitcoin is off the freaking charts recently, and a lot of people don't realize it because they only look at price, but Bitcoin is hitting all-time highs in so many different metrics. It's absolutely nuts, and a lot of people don't really care about these metrics if they're new to crypto. They just want to see the number go up. They just want to see their investment go up, but you have to realize these are the metrics that drive Bitcoin's price up. So I want to talk about it here with you today. I'm pretty pumped because these numbers are absolutely insane. Like I said, I have to show you it. So sit back, grab a drink, grab a coffee, hit subscribe underneath the video if you haven't done that already, because I'm going to be making more videos just like this one. While you're down there, you can also sign up for Margex. In case you want to trade cryptocurrency, you can actually trade on leverage, so you can get access to more capital basically. You can go up to 100x leverage, which I do not suggest. That's very aggressive. But basically, you can put in $10 and you can trade with $1,000 in that case. Now, make sure you understand how leverage trading actually works before that, because if it goes down like 1%, you can get wicked out. But this is a nice way to work on your technical analysis. There's no KYC either, so you can gain access to it pretty easily. And you can trade with all different kinds of cryptocurrencies. You can use or you can trade Bitcoin, Ethereum, Dogecoin, Pepe, XRP, ADA, Solana, all those, and you can use different forms of collateral as well. So definitely check that out. I will say too, there's going to be a link to Trezor underneath the video. Trezor is probably the best cold storage wallet out there, and with my link, you can get 15% off. I don't make anything when you use that link in the promo code MyFinancialFriend, but it does help out the channel because it shows Trezor them actually bringing in sales, and maybe I can negotiate something really good down the way. So I really just want to give you guys the best deal possible. It sounds like they're going to have a Black Friday deal. So if you're watching this during Black Friday week, I'll probably have a different code, but I'll update it down below in the comments section. Also, last thing I want to hit on, it's getting cold out there. The winter months are here, and I guess not winter for some places, right? It starts in December, but it's pretty much winter here in Michigan. It's freezing. If you want to get your hands on a Heatbit miner, I'm going to put a code underneath the video to give you a discount. This is a space heater. It looks really nice, and then it also mines a bit of Bitcoin. I have a full video on it if you want to check it out, but I have seen a lot of people start to buy it because I do get notifications when people buy them, and there are different ways you can buy them too, like different deals you can get. So check out the link underneath the video if you want one, if you're already looking for a space heater, and watch the video obviously before you buy anything so you can see my review on it. So Bitcoin is not to the previous high in US dollars. A lot of people don't understand this. You have to look at other currencies too. You have to look in other parts of the world because we're so US centric. We just look at Bitcoin versus the US dollar. So we're going to look at it versus some other currencies. We're also going to look at some of the other metrics that are absolutely exploding, like at all-time highs already. We're going to look at something that a lot of people don't look at, which is the dormant addresses, which is pretty interesting. Also, we're going to look at how money has flowed, or how Bitcoin has flowed over the last year, because there's some interesting things you can see that's happening. So let's just get into it. The all-time high has just been hit, 69%, for the Bitcoin supply that hasn't been active in over a year. Basically, this means that people are holding long-term, and this happens, it seems like every bear market. People just accumulate and hold. During the bull markets, like these spikes, this is the price here. These spikes in Bitcoin, when we hit 65,000, long-term holders that were buying throughout the last bear market are selling into that strength. They're taking some profits, and it makes sense. That's what a lot of us will do during the next bull run. But the the supply of inactive addresses is at an all-time high. Part of that is just because some people don't have access to their Bitcoin, which we'll talk about later. That's actually a good thing for all of us that do have access to our Bitcoin. But this is positive. This means that people are thinking long-term, that they're not just trading, trying to make a couple dollars here or there. They're like buying into the narrative. They actually believe in Bitcoin, and they want to hold through to when the price spikes. And this also means that there's less selling. There's less people just trying to get out and take, like I said, a little bit of profit, which means that price goes up. When this hits 70%, that's also going to be a big metric because it's just a round number. Everyone loves that. It's going to hit all the Twitter pages, and that will be very bullish as well. Now, Something else that's very bullish is that hash rate is hitting an all-time high. It seems like it just continuously hits an all-time high. Like every single week, there's some article about it hitting an all-time high. Hash rate is just the amount of compute power on the network, the amount of Bitcoin miners and the power that they have to mine Bitcoin. Now, how does this affect you? What's this actually mean? Well, it doesn't really affect us too much as people that just hold Bitcoin, except for the fact that the network is more secure than ever. And when you think about it, the more money that's funneled into these Bitcoin miners, the more buildings that are built, the more livelihoods that rely on Bitcoin mining, the more important the industry is. The less that it gets pushed around, the less likelihood that some country just kicks it out. Because when I think about things like this, I like to take them like very hyperbolically, or like I like to take them to the extreme. Like if Bitcoin mining was such a big industry, it was, let's say, 5% of the US's GDP, I think they would get more tax incentives. I think they would obviously the government would just be better to them overall. They wouldn't impose as restrictive policies. They might give them, like I said, maybe some stimulus or some incentives. They would just overall be much better to the industry. Now, we're not even close to 5% GDP, but you can see what I mean. As it gets bigger and bigger, it's harder to push this industry around, which means that there's less FUD. When you look, the price of Bitcoin from April 2021 to just a couple months later in July fell over 50%, and that was just because China booted out their miners. Like they kicked them all out, said that you can't mine here anymore. So they took a lot of the machines offline. A lot of people were worried about the price. There were probably a lot of people selling Bitcoin too, like the miners over there in China, or just people in China in general that held Bitcoin and other cryptocurrencies too. So it forced down the price. Now, I think there's less likelihood of that happening all the time as the network becomes bigger and it becomes more decentralized and just safer in general. So that is good to see, that continuously hitting an all-time high. It also just means that there are more and more people betting on Bitcoin, trying to get their hands on Bitcoin. And that means that there are, I'd say, less Bitcoin miners that hold a huge amount of the supply. Like if there's just one Bitcoin miner, you're going to get all the Bitcoin, which isn't super safe for everyone that's holding if you just go and decide to sell all your Bitcoin. So there are more and more companies that are mining Bitcoin, more and more people that are mining Bitcoin in their basement, like this heater right here, which makes it less likelihood to get just like a huge sell of Bitcoin. We also have Bitcoin hitting all-time highs in price in different countries. I've talked about this a couple times recently, but it's important to remember and important to bring up. So Bitcoin's price in other currencies is not the same as Bitcoin's price, obviously, in our currency. From 2021 to now, Bitcoin's price is actually up 38%. The all-time high, it's up 38% in Turkish lira. Also, when you look at Argentinian pesos, it's actually up over 105% right now. So the price of Bitcoin is getting higher. Other countries have crazy inflation. So the use case of Bitcoin is getting better all the time, especially for countries that have weak currencies. And we're seeing right now that there are a couple very pro-Bitcoin candidates for Argentina's next presidential election, which should be cleared up in the next few days. Who wins this? I don't know how this will affect cryptocurrency or Bitcoin specifically yet, because I don't know really what their policies are. They throw out things that they want to do with Bitcoin, but we'll have to see, because it's hard to tell what presidential candidates are actually going to fulfill from what they say they're going to do. So we'll have to watch this, but we did see other countries start accepting Bitcoin as legal tender, literally saying, hey, you can pay us in US dollars or Bitcoin. You have to accept both. Or the companies have to accept both. It doesn't matter what they're given, which is really bullish, obviously, for Bitcoin as well. Now, you might be saying, okay, that's great, but the price is up a decent amount from the bottom. Is it too late? I should have bought a while ago, but I just didn't get around to it. Should I buy now? Of course, you're never going to time the bottom. And I'm not going to tell you that this is the best time in the world to buy, because honestly, I was buying all through here. I was buying at the bottom. So that would be the best time to buy now that you're looking back on it. But this also has so much upside still. Bitcoin still has so much upside, in my opinion. You have to be comfortable with it wherever you're buying in. But I wouldn't want to try to save a few $100s and miss out on thousands of dollars. that's what you're investing, right? I think there's too much potential not to have your foot in the game or not to have some amount of Bitcoin at this point. And if you look at this rainbow chart, for people that don't know, this is basically a way of valuing Bitcoin over time, because obviously it starts down here in the lower left-hand corner. And this is the price of Bitcoin in the black line. It basically just moves up, as you can see, during the bull market, and then it moves down during the bear market. And this chart is just basically to show you how undervalued or overvalued Bitcoin is. So as time goes on, it goes up and to the right because it's more decentralized. There are more people that bought it. The value of Bitcoin in general has gone up because of inflation, that kind of thing. So we are actually at an all-time low, not an all-time high, or we were during the bear market for the value of Bitcoin. The price to value. So basically you got the cheapest that we've ever gotten relative to the time that Bitcoin has been around. We fell out of this rainbow chart. We fell below the line, which has never happened before. And this means that it was below the HODL category where you just hold your Bitcoin. It was below still cheap. It was below accumulate. It was below buy with an exclamation point. It was below buy fire sale. Now, this is not super scientific, but it's a good rule of thumb. Basically, if you are in the blue sections, it makes sense to buy. If you're in the green or yellow, maybe you just hold, then sell somewhere in the red or orange. You try not to be too greedy either, because you can see that it spikes up higher in the earlier cycles outside of red, and then a little bit lower, and then it didn't even spike out of the red, and then it didn't even get to red. It got into the orange. So keep that in mind. When we start moving up into the yellows, maybe that's a good time to sell, like 70, 80, 90,000 or HODL, and then 90,000 plus, probably a good time to sell. And right now we're still in the blue. We're still in the buy/fire sale area. So even if we trend sideways in terms of price, that means that we do get more undervalued in terms of this chart, because the value of this chart always increases. So it's something important to kind of pay attention to. Again, not perfect, but it's pretty good. Now, this is also a very interesting thing too. The amount of dormant Bitcoin, basically Bitcoin that has not moved, is always going up. And on this website, you can actually look at a bunch of different metrics, BitInfo charts. We're going to look at the Bitcoin rich list here in a moment, but this is the cumulative sum of dormant Bitcoin addresses. And you can scroll back on here to see how much Bitcoin is dormant from that specific time. So like if we go back to 2020, you can see up here, right where my mouse is, how much Bitcoin is dormant from before that. So 7 million Bitcoin has not been moved since before 2020. And you can scroll back 2015, there's 3.5 million that has not been moved. Now, why could that be? Either people are holding long-term and they don't want to touch their investment, but more likely as you get older and older or further back in time, people just have lost access to their keys. Like maybe they had their keys in some note or their seed phrase in some note on an old laptop and they can't get access to it anymore. Maybe they threw out their cold storage wallet and they don't remember the seed phrase. Maybe their house burned down. Maybe they sent the address or the Bitcoin to the wrong address. There can be all different types of things. Maybe someone passed away and didn't tell their family where their key was or their seed phrase was. So there are all different ways that you lose Bitcoin. But what this means is there's less and less Bitcoin around to buy. There's less and less that can be sold, which is bullish for Bitcoin. It's harder to come by than people think, because while there's 19.5 million or something like that in circulation right now, a lot of it has been lost. So a lot of people think that Bitcoin, there's only ever going to be 14 or 15 million Bitcoin that you can actually buy, because some are just held forever. And there are tons of stories about this. But as time goes on, this number is going to continue to go up, right? There's going to be more and more Bitcoin that has not been touched all the time. There's more and more Bitcoin that's lost. Every single day, there's more and more Bitcoin that's lost. And at some point, I think in the next 10 years, probably, the amount of new Bitcoin per day is actually going to go down, or it's actually going to be less. Like the Bitcoin mined each day is going to be less than the Bitcoin lost each day. That's never going to be recovered. I mean, think about this. Right now, there are about 900 Bitcoin a day that are accumulated by miners. In a year, that's going to be 450. 4 years from there, there's going to be 225 4 years from there, 112.5, if I'm doing the math right, or 106.25, something like that. There are going to be more Bitcoin that are lost every day than that at some point. And that numbers are going to get continually cut in half to the point where we're making less than 1 Bitcoin per day by 2060. 1 Bitcoin mined a day. So eventually it will be very hard to come by Bitcoin, and this is just another metric that continues to hit all-time highs after all-time high. This is a really cool thing. If you didn't know, Wayback Machine is a website where you can go back and they capture screens at different times. So I went 1 year back on the Bitcoin rich list. This shows you a lot of information. It can show you how much Bitcoin's in different wallet addresses depending on the size of the wallet address. Then it can also show you specific wallets and when they get crypto in or Bitcoin in, the percentage of coins that they hold, all that. Now what I want to look at is up here. Bitcoin distribution. This shows the amount of Bitcoin in different sized wallets from 0 to 0.00001 Bitcoin, which is basically like someone had maybe whatever amount in Bitcoin, maybe $10,000 in Bitcoin, and then they moved it out of a wallet, but for some reason it wasn't like the exact amount, like they left a decimal place at the very end, and that's just left in the wallet. Basically dust, basically less than $1. I'm not sure exactly what this equates to, but less than $1. There are 15.18 Bitcoins in wallets that are that size. But there are a ton of addresses. I mean, we're talking about 3.2 million wallet addresses that have this small amount. This is from a year ago. Now there are 19.06. There are more wallets that have that small amount. Makes sense. That's not really that important. But as you look here, you can pause it if you need to. Every wallet size up until 1,000 to 10,000 has been accumulating Bitcoin. Like, for example, people that have 0.1 to 1 Bitcoin in a wallet address, a year ago, that was at 929,000 Bitcoin. Now, it's at 1.08 million Bitcoin. So these wallets are going up. Now, part of that is just due to the fact that there are more addresses, but also there are people stacking, moving from one wallet address or one wallet size to the next, to the next, to the next. So that's pretty interesting, but that stops at 1,000 to 10,000. These wallets are actually getting smaller. So a year ago, wallets that had 1,000 to 10,000 Bitcoin had 4.745 million Bitcoin. Now it's at 4.67. So the whales are actually owning less Bitcoin. Of course, there are some people that continuously get more and more, like Michael Saylor, and there are a number of other companies as well. But think about Tesla. Tesla sold a lot of their Bitcoin. So the wallet that they had actually became less in value. So if they stuck in this range, I don't remember exactly how many Bitcoin they had. Now they have like $400 million or $500 million worth, but they might go down from 8,000 Bitcoin to 2,000 Bitcoin or something like that, something like that. So there's more and more people that are getting into Bitcoin investing that are buying up more and more Bitcoin, which means that it is a little bit more decentralized than ever before in terms of the holder supply. There are either less whales that hold large amounts, or you can actually look at that here just based on the wallet addresses, or they're just holding a little bit less, which I think is actually positive. Of course, I love when I can see whales buying because they typically know more than we do. And there have been some wallets that literally just started buying, like some top 100 wallets that are brand spanking new. Maybe it was just someone that transferred some crypto in there, or maybe it's someone that bought their first amount of Bitcoin. But it's actually really interesting to take a look at this website. Now, we also have the whole crypto market cap hitting a yearly high yesterday, $1.43 trillion. I think it actually hit 1.44 at one point, which is not an all-time high, but that is showing that there are a lot more people getting into this space. There are a lot more people buying cryptocurrencies, loading up for the next bull run, and money is flowing in. Now, let me know your thoughts on all this underneath the video. Again, I think it's important to look at the metrics of Bitcoin because that shows more than the price. The price can just be one person selling at one specific time, but the qualities that make Bitcoin valuable can continue to grow in the background. And it's kind of like a spring. Like the price can go down, but if the metrics keep on getting better and better, it's like it's being pulled back And there's a lot of potential energy. So if we stay around the same price or if we fall down, eventually it's going to snap right back up. Now, let me know your thoughts on this underneath the video. Thank you so much for watching. I really do appreciate it. You can check out the links to Margex underneath the video. If you want to trade, you can check out the link to Treasure to get yourself a Bitcoin wallet or a crypto wallet, cold storage wallet. And there's a link to the miner company too, to the heater as well. Thank you so much. I appreciate it. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.